our DA might not see it see things the way that ours does. Now, I'm not saying that we know for a fact there's going to be a difference. I'm just saying that the way the law is written, each individual DA is responsible for the interpretation of the law. And so that's sort of, in a nutshell, because I know you don't have a lot of time, that's sort of the nuts and bolts of it. The DA will talk to you about his piece, and then our police chief will talk to you about the way that the police are preparing to deal with this. I really hope and believe that come January 1st, there really won't be a lot to think about. There won't be a lot to worry about. I don't think there'll be a lot of incidents, but it is our obligation to make sure that we're ready and that you guys are ready, that you understand. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
All right. Do you guys have any questions for me before I pass it on to the DA?
There's a couple of questions, but let me first introduce Mr. Charlie Mata, who is the executive director of the Advocate Social Services, one of the sponsoring organizations. He's been involved with many different quality of life programs, and he was one of the persons behind making sure this meeting happened. So, Charlie's been around. Charlie's my dad, by the way, so he's been around doing this for, I think, since he was about 10 years old. And I'm not making that up. He's really been that involved. So, he's looking at it from the perspective of the community and the families and the safety. So, he really pushed for this. So we worked on it together. Also, Ms. Francisca Elena, who is the president of the Advocate Social Services Board. But Charlie, we'll make a brief presentation after these gentlemen. So, Diego, real quick, just real quick.
Yeah.
Because what we did before you got here, we asked anybody who had a question, so let me know, and we'll go from there.
Sure.
The majority of the people here, I think, or a lot of the people here are business owners.
Right.
Okay, and so the sign thing is very important for them. We want to make sure they have some signs. Do you have enough signs here for everybody?
So what we decided to do is, like I was saying, HEB and Target, they've got, God bless them, right? But they've got their own lawyers to help them figure it out. Small business owners, they don't. And so what we decided to do, because the law is confusing, is we decided to make the signs ourselves and offer them to people who want them. If you don't want them, that's okay. If you do want them, we've got them. So we've brought a bunch with us, and then we have a bunch more at our office. Before you leave, give us your contact info, and we'll call you to tell you either one, come get them. We'll be passing them out on New Year's Eve from 9 to 4, and or we'll deliver them to you. We printed off about 1,000. We're running out pretty quick. We'll print more, but we want to make sure you guys get them if you want them. All right?
Okay, great. And one other question.
Sure.
The schools, public schools, what's the deal with them out?
Yeah, the public schools are off limits.
But how far? Like, a gentleman came up to me and asked me about it. Okay, so that's one, and then let me ask another one part of here.
Okay.
Has there ever been a study on other states that have this, like a study as far as how many incidents occurred that were related to open carry?
If you, the question about studies is, just like everything else, one study says one thing, another study says something else. I will tell you that one of my concerns about the law was, even though there are several states that have this,
44.
you really don't have it in an urban environment like this. There's not really a top 15 city, maybe outside of Phoenix, that has this. And so I'm not saying it's going to go well or go poorly, but what I am saying is that we've never seen it. And so it's my job to make sure that you guys know what to expect and be prepared. I'm certainly don't want you guys to hear me saying panic. Not at all. I am saying no. Be prepared. Understand. Ask questions. But maybe to go over some of the places where open carry is and is not allowed, I'll pass it off to the DA.
Okay, and we'll get your question in a minute, sir.
Okay.
Well, we're kind of jumping over. Those of you that weren't here when I first got here, I am on vacation. And so this is my only week off the whole year. But when I got notification that this meeting was happening, it matters to me. And I've spoken at different events with Diego and with the chief on open carry and these issues. So I wanted to take the time to come here. So excuse the beard and this is the way I am when I'm not in my monkey suit. I think it's appropriate that we started off with a prayer, because scripture tells us that my people perish for what? Lack of knowledge. And so knowledge is power, we hear, and so this knowledge that you're getting today, and this is the first meeting. This is not the only meeting. I'm available. Diego's available. The chief's available. I know that I can speak for them when I say that. We're all available to make sure that we have this communication with our community. I will start off by saying that I am pro-gun. Everybody knows that. Diego and I, we differ greatly on our position on weapons. My family's been affected by violent crime. My brother was taken from us in the driveway of my parents' house by a robbery. a botched robbery, and I loaded his body on the gurney. I washed the blood off my driveway, so I have a different perspective of lawful ownership of guns. But I also believe in order. We have to have order in our society to function, and communication about that. So I'm here to enforce the law. My job is to seek justice and to enforce the laws of the state of Texas. I had an oath to uphold the Constitution, both state and federal, and that's what I'm gonna do. The law is very unclear, to be honest with you. There are 9 statutory places where you cannot carry a gun. 9 statutory places, and the 10th one is if a government or a private property has proper signage under 30-6, we call it in 30-7. 30.06 is concealed handgun. They have to give you notice at a private property to not carry your concealed handgun. They have to give you separate notice under 30-7, 30.07, if they don't want you to open carry. You have to give both. One sign doesn't handle both of them. Okay, so a private property can do that. And there's other statutory places that you cannot carry, like a courthouse, right? Schooling places, racetrack, polling sites, things of that nature. There's 9 statutory places. Bar, yes, 51% bars with 51% signage and over. That's correct. Things of that nature. So I'm hoping and praying that this is a whole bunch of due to nothing. That people just have to get used to something new, the new normal in our society, in our community, and it's really not going to be an issue. I assure you this, regardless of your position in here, whether you're pro-gun or against gun, I assure you that nobody in here is worried about the people in here, or you wouldn't be here. I promise you that. Everybody's here because they're concerned about order in our community. Everyone has a different perspective of what order is, but I think everyone in this room is for peace. They better be. And if they're not, then I'm going to have an issue with you, and the chief's going to have an issue with you. But we want peace because the chief first, then you come to me. But my kids walk the streets of San Antonio and Bear Canyon like yours do, and your grandchildren. And so it matters to me. Okay, we don't live outside of the community. We're in the community as well, so it's important to answer these questions. I just wanted to speak a little bit because I think this opportunity is more for a Q&A. Because I don't want to just speak to you. I want to answer your questions, but I want the chief to have an opportunity to talk. I know that you have a lot of questions. That's what we're here for, to answer your questions, not so you can hear us talk. I mean, we're going to only talk because we're answering your questions. So please don't forget your question. Ask any question you want to. I'm open book, and so are them. I'll let the chief talk, and then we'll kind of do a Q&A.
That's right. Thank you, Chief. But I do want to let people know again, remind you, we do have a follow-up meeting next week already scheduled. Next Tuesday, 6 p.m. at the Blanco Ballroom, 3719 Blanco Road. I don't know if these gentlemen will be able to be here. We're doing it, but if you're able to come, really would appreciate it. There's a lot of interest. These are not all the people, I can tell you that. We will have a PowerPoint that will take 5 minutes. So if you guys, anybody, fine gentlemen can go, we really would appreciate it. We need that support. There has to be a lot of education on this, a lot of education. So I just wanted to mention that. So next week, 6 p.m. Blanco Ballroom. Thank you.
Jason, also, it's in another area, in another neighborhood, so we're gonna be covering hundreds of other people.
That's right. That's a good point. It'd be another community. So thank you.
It's a bigger room though, right?
Yes, sir. They were able to handle 700 people. That's a bigger venue. That's right.
So thanks everybody for showing up tonight. Let me just go over briefly what SAPD's role in all this is. So we have trained our dispatchers. We have a video training clip that we've showed them, and it gives them a variety of questions that they will probably have to answer when people call in for, hey, I see somebody carrying a gun on their hip. And so instead of just sending an officer out there without any information, the dispatchers will ask a series of questions. What is the person doing with the gun? Is the person angry? Is he arguing with somebody? Is he in a fight with somebody? Is there some sort of breach of the peace? Those type of questions, so that the officer can be prepared to deal with whatever's happening at the scene when he gets there or she gets there. So we've trained our call takers. Our officers, and this is a question that comes up all the time, our officers will not be running up to everyone that they see carrying a weapon on their hip or in a shoulder holster or wherever to check a license to see if they're legally carrying. We're simply not going to do that. We will assume that everyone is licensed to carry a weapon. Will there be people out there carrying who don't have licenses? I'm sure there will. Just like any other law, this one will be broken, but we will not be running up to people asking them for their license. If we do happen to stop someone who has a weapon, for whatever reason it may be, whether it's because they have a weapon